A century ago, a conflict ended that was unlike anything the world had ever experienced. A war that engaged over 60 million soldiers across the globe. In this video, we explored the causes, key moments, and long-lasting effects of World War I. To understand the roots of World War I, we begin in 1871, after the conclusion of the Franco-Prussian War between the French Empire and the North German Confederation, which included southern German states. After 6 months of intense fighting, France was defeated, and the victors united to form the German Empire. Alsace and Moselle were annexed into the new empire, a move that deeply angered France. Over the next few years, Germany advanced both its industrial capacity and its economy. The nation also forged alliances, first with the Austro-Hungarian Empire and later with Italy, who were angered by France's colonization of Tunisia. Together, they formed the Triple Alliance. Germany's growing power also led to the colonization of African territories. Meanwhile, France allied with Russia and signed a secret non-aggression pact with Italy to avoid a two-front war. In response to Germany's military rise, the British Empire, fearing its growing navy, moved away from its policy of isolation. Britain moved closer to France and then to Russia, eventually forming the Triple Entente. In the Balkans, the Austro-Hungarian Empire annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina, angering Serbia, which dreamed of uniting the South Slavs. Russia supported Serbia in this aim, leading to further tensions. On June 28, 1914, a young Serbian nationalist from Bosnia assassinated the heir to the Austrian throne and his wife in Sarajevo. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia for the attack and, despite Russian warnings, declared war the following month. Within days, the conflict spread to involve the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance. With only Italy holding off on declaring its stance, Germany's strategy was to defeat the French army, which was concentrated in the east, by launching an attack from the north. Germany invaded Luxembourg and Belgium, violating their neutrality, forcing the French, British, and Belgian armies to retreat. Fearing the fall of Paris, the French government moved to Bordeaux, but the Germans shifted their focus to surround the French forces. The French, however, mounted a counterattack, forcing Germany to retreat further north and marking the failure of the Schlieffen Plan. Germany's new objective was to capture the strategic ports of Calais, Dunkirk, and Boulogne to cut off British supply lines. The Belgian army was unable to halt the German advance, and in the Yser region, floodgates were opened to drown the land, stopping the German forces. The front lines were soon stabilized with the creation of 700 kilometer trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland. With the Western Front now static, Germany shifted its focus eastward, battling Russia, which had put Austria-Hungary under pressure. The Ottoman Empire, after some deliberation, sided with Germany, opening new fronts in the Caucasus, Sinai against Egypt and the Suez Canal, and Kuwait over oil resources. To weaken the Ottomans, Britain supported an Arab rebellion with promises of independence. Italy, hoping for territorial gains, declared war on Austria-Hungary. In Asia, Japan entered the war against Germany and seized its Pacific and Chinese colonies. In Africa, German colonies were attacked by French, British, and Belgian forces. Colonial soldiers were also recruited to fight in European armies. France called up nearly 800,000 soldiers, many of whom were sent to the Western Front. The British Empire enlisted 2.7 million men from its colonies, with over half coming from British India. Bulgaria joined the Central Powers, expanding the conflict into the Balkans. The war also saw several new military innovations. Germany became the first nation to conduct aerial bombing raids using Zeppelins, targeting London and Paris. Airplanes, initially used for reconnaissance, soon became equipped with machine guns, leading to aerial dogfights. Germany also introduced submarine warfare, targeting British ships, including civilian vessels. In the trenches, toxic gas was used for the first time, causing horrific casualties. Despite various attempts to break the stalemate, The front line remained largely unchanged, costing countless lives. Conditions in the trenches were brutal. Soldiers faced constant mud, vermin, rats, and the stench of decaying bodies. As the war dragged on, French soldiers began mutinying, though these uprisings were suppressed. Germany, exhausted from the prolonged deadlock, shifted its focus to economic warfare, using submarines to target all ships bound for Britain. Meanwhile, Russia suffered more than 1.7 million military deaths, with morale reaching an all-time low. A short revolution toppled the Tsarist regime, while the United States, impacted by the naval blockade, entered the war alongside the Allies. Russia experienced a second revolution, leading to the rise of the Bolsheviks, who immediately signed a ceasefire with the Central Powers. With the Russian front now secure, Germany focused its efforts on the Western Front, managing to break through the trenches and approach Paris, bombing the city. However, the rapid German advance led to overextension, and the French launched a counterattack, eventually forcing the German army into retreat. By this time, the Allies had gained the upper hand on all fronts. In Germany, mutinies and a revolutionary wave led to the abdication of the Kaiser and the signing of an armistice, bringing the Great War to an end. Over 18 million people had perished during the conflict. On June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. Germany was excluded from the negotiations, and the country was forced to accept full responsibility for the war. Heavy reparations were demanded, and the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires were dissolved, creating new countries. Germany, humiliated and burdened by debt, saw its military disbanded and its colonies divided among the victorious powers. It ceded roughly 15% of its territory to France, Belgium, Denmark, and Poland, which was reconstituted. Though Germany remained largely intact in terms of territory and industry, the Treaty of Versailles planted the seeds for future resentment, fueling a desire for revenge that would erupt in the following decades.